The ultimatum, the night sky over Earth was calm. Stars shone brightly, and cities glowed with their usual lights. People walked the streets, unaware that history was about to change forever. At exactly midnight, the stars vanished. A shadow fell across the sky, and then it appeared a giant alien hologram stretched over every major city. It was not a simple picture. It was alive. It moved. It looked down at billions of humans as if they were insects. The voice that followed was cold and sharp, like steel cutting through glass. This message is from the Empire. Earth has broken the ancient laws. You will surrender. You will kneel, or you will burn. Every word thundered inside the minds of people. Children screamed. Soldiers froze. Leaders of nations stood in silence, staring at the massive alien face. Holograms showed the Empire's warships, thousands of them, lined in orbit above distant worlds. Their size was terrifying. Each one looked larger than Earth's cities. Their weapons glowed with power. It was not a threat. It was a promise. The Empire continued. You have one day to decide. If you resist, we will erase your planet from existence. Your families will vanish. Your history will be ash. Choose wisely. Then the hologram disappeared. The stars returned. But Earth no longer felt safe. The world shook in fear. In the United Nations chamber in New York, the leaders gathered. The room was heavy with silence. No one wanted to speak first. Everyone already knew the truth. The Empire could not be defeated, at least not in open battle. President Morgan finally stood. His face was pale, but his eyes were burning. We all heard the ultimatum, he said. They want us to kneel, to live as slaves under alien rule. But I ask you, have humans ever knelt to tyrants for long? The room stirred. Some nodded. Others looked down, afraid. General Reyes, commander of Earth's Defense Force, spoke next. His voice was low and steady. Mr. President, if we fight openly, Earth will be destroyed. Our fleets are small. Our weapons are weak compared to theirs. But he paused, and a shadow crossed his face. We still have the Black Fleet. The words struck the room like lightning. The Black Fleet. Many leaders shifted in their seats. Some whispered nervously. Most citizens of Earth had never heard of it. But the powerful, the ones in this chamber, knew the truth. The Black Fleet was Earth's most secret project, built in silence, hidden away in the far reaches of the solar system. It was a fleet of warships made not to defend, but to strike with fury. Ships painted black as night, designed to hide in the void. Armed with weapons no alien had ever seen. It was Earth's last card. But the Black Fleet is only a rumor. One leader protested. It has never fought. No one even knows if it works. General Reyes looked at him with steel in his eyes. It works. I have seen it. I helped build it. The Black Fleet was made for this very day, for the day the Empire came. Silence returned. The choice was clear. Surrender and live as slaves, or unleash the Black Fleet and risk everything. President Morgan's voice rose again. The Empire thinks we are weak. They think humanity will bow, but they don't know us. They don't know what waits in the dark. My decision is made. We will not surrender. The chamber erupted with voices. Some cheered, some argued, but the order was already given. Across the solar system, secret signals were sent. Hidden bases woke from centuries of sleep. Far away, under the frozen oceans of Europa, giant hangar doors began to open. Machines long buried in ice rumbled back to life. The water shook as massive shapes stirred in the darkness. One by one, black ships rose from their tombs. Their armor drank the light, making them look like shadows. On Mars, dust storms cleared. As underground silos opened, sleek fighters with black wings roared into the thin sky. Their engines burned like silent fire. On Titan, hidden factories released their creations, dreadnoughts larger than any ship Earth had ever shown the public. Their guns gleamed. Their shields pulsed with invisible power. The Black Fleet was awakening. Meanwhile, in the Empire's flagship, high above a distant star, Admiral Kor listened to the reports. His alien eyes narrowed. "Humans are stalling," his officer said. "They have not answered our demand." Kor smiled. His teeth were sharp, his voice full of pride. "It does not matter. They will kneel. If not, their world will burn." Number 1 defies the Empire. But deep in his heart, a small unease grew. He had studied humans. He knew their history. They were stubborn, reckless, and dangerous when cornered. He wondered if the ultimatum would break them, or awaken something far worse. Back on Earth, a young pilot named Alex stood on a rooftop, staring at the night sky. He had seen the alien hologram. He had heard the threat. His heart raced with both fear and fire. Above him, the stars seemed calm again. But Alex knew. Somewhere out there, in the cold silence of space, the Black Fleet was rising. And when it came, the Empire would learn what it meant to demand Earth's surrender. Asterisk, the hidden fleet, the Empire thought. Earth was small, weak. Planet of farmers, workers, and dreamers. They believed no real power hid here. But they were wrong. Beneath the surface of icy moons and red deserts, something old was stirring. Something Earth had kept in silence for over a century. Far below. The frozen ocean of Europa. A hangar door wider than a mountain cracked open. Ice split with a thunderous roar. Water boiled as giant machines came alive. Out of the darkness, a shadow rose. It was not just a ship, it was a beast of steel. Black armor swallowed every glimmer of light. Its engines glowed like a dying star. Silent but full of power. This was the dreadnought Obsidian, the first warship of the Black Fleet. Inside its bridge, Commander Reyes stood tall, watching as the ship's systems lit up one by one. The screens showed weapons charging, shields humming, and engines ready. His hand rested on the command chair, heavy with the weight of history. For years, he had lived in silence, waiting for this day. The day the Empire finally came. Report. He ordered, "Shields stable, engines online." "Weapons fully charged," the officer replied. Her voice shook, not from fear, but from excitement. Reyes allowed himself a small smile. "Then wake the others. It's time." On Mars, storms raged across the desert. The red winds howled as ancient doors opened from beneath the dust. Fighters with sharp black wings roared upward, leaving trails of fire. Pilots inside gripped their controls, hearts pounding. They were the first to fly into war since Earth had fallen silent. Young pilot Alex sat in his fighter, Calcine Raven 3. His hands trembled slightly on the controls. He had dreamed of flying since he was a boy, but now the dream was real and deadly. The voice of his squad leader echoed in his ears. "Ravens, this is it. The Empire thinks we are prey. Tonight, they will learn we are hunters." Alex breathed deep. He looked at the stars above, remembering the alien hologram's cruel voice. Fear turned into fire. "Raven 3 ready," he said. On Titan, the sky split as dreadnoughts rose from the thick orange clouds. They were massive cities of war, each carrying enough firepower to shatter moons. Their hulls were painted black, blending into the void. They moved with silence, as if the universe itself was afraid to announce their arrival. At the center was the Eclipse, the largest of them all. Its cannons hummed with deadly energy. From orbit, it looked like a dark moon that had grown engines and teeth. Across the solar system, secret bases activated. AI-controlled warships, unmanned drones, and stealth carriers joined the awakening. Humanity's hidden fleet, its true power was rising at last. For decades, Earth had kept this secret. While the Empire watched the obvious, humanity had built in the shadows. The Black Fleet was not made to scare. It was made to fight and win. In the Empire's command ship above the stars, Admiral Kor listened to the latest report. Scanners detect unusual activity in the Sol system, the officer said. Movement on Europa, Mars, Titan, energy readings. Suggest large-scale ships. Kor's eyes narrowed. His sharp teeth glinted as he hissed. Impossible. Humans are primitive. They have nothing like our fleets. The officer hesitated. And yet, Admiral, the readings are clear. Something powerful is moving. Kor's claws tapped against the command table. Then let them move. The more they resist, the more brutal their end will be. No fleet, no secret can stand against the Empire. Still, deep inside, unease gnawed at him. He remembered the ancient report stories of human defiance. Perhaps there was more truth in them than he wished to admit. Back aboard the Obsidian, Commander, Reyes addressed his crew. His voice was low, steady, and full of iron. The Empire has demanded our surrender. They believe Earth will kneel. They believe our spirit is broken. But they don't know the truth. They don't know about us. He raised his hand toward the stars on the screen. This fleet was built in silence. Built for the day we would be tested. That day is here. And I promise you this, the Empire will regret awakening the Black Fleet. Cheers erupted across the bridge. Fear turned into determination. Alex's fighter launched from Mars, joining dozens of others. As the Black Fleet ships rose from hiding, they began to vanish into the darkness of space. Cloaking fields wrapped around them, making them shadows in the void. From Earth's surface, the night sky looked peaceful, almost unchanged. But above, beyond the eyes of ordinary people, black ships were gathering like storm clouds before the greatest battle in human history. Alex's heart pounded as he saw the massive, dreadnought Eclipse drift past his tiny fighter. It was like flying next to a mountain of death. Yet instead of fear, he felt pride. Humanity had not surrendered. Humanity had teeth. The Empire's ultimatum still echoed across the world. Surrender or burn. But far away, unseen humanity had already chosen its answer. The Black Fleet was awake. And soon, the Empire would learn what it meant to face fury in the dark. Shadows of fear. The Empire's warships gathered at the edge of the solar system. They were like a black wall in space, hundreds of ships, engines glowing, weapons armed. Their size dwarfed anything Earth had ever shown publicly. From orbit, they looked like gods of war, but gods can bleed. Admiral Kor stood on the bridge of his massive flagship, the Dominion's Fist. Around him, alien officers moved quickly. REPORTING fleet positions. Admiral, humans remain silent, one officer said. No reply to the ultimatum. Kor's lip curled in a cruel smile. Of course they are silent. Fear has frozen them. Soon they will kneel. Soon their planet will burn. But even as he spoke, a thought scratched at the back of his mind. Humans were strange. When weak, they fought. When cornered, they bit. He could not erase the feeling that something unseen was waiting for him. Deep in space, cloaked and invisible, the Black Fleet moved like shadows. The dreadnought Eclipse glided silently through the dark, its black hull blending with the stars. Smaller destroyers and fighters spread out around it, hidden under stealth fields. The Empire's scanners swept across the void, but they found nothing. Inside the Eclipse, Commander Reyes studied a holographic map. It showed the Empire's ships, thousands of glowing red icons, surrounding Earth like a tightening noose. His own fleet appeared as small blue dots, moving silently around them. One of his officers leaned close. "Sir, if they discover us before we strike, we'll be outnumbered 10-1. Reyes nodded slowly. "That's why we strike first. Fear will be our weapon. Let them think they are hunters, until they realize they are prey." Alex sat in his fighter, Raven 3, flying just meters from the Eclipse's hull. The black giant filled his vision, so massive that his small ship looked like an insect. His hands gripped the controls tightly. He remembered the alien hologram, the words that demanded Earth's surrender. His jaw tightened. He whispered to himself, "We don't kneel. Not now. Not ever." His squad leader's voice came through. "The comes, Ravens, listen. The Empire doesn't know we're here. We are ghosts. And tonight, the ghosts will hunt." Alex swallowed hard. He wasn't afraid of death. He was afraid of failing humanity. On Earth, billions of people waited. Families huddled together in silence. Radios and screens replayed the Empire's ultimatum. Rumors spread. Some believed Earth had already surrendered. Others whispered about a hidden fleet. But no one knew the truth. Not yet. Children looked up at the night sky and asked their parents, "Will the stars kill us?" The parents had no answer. Far above them, in the cold void, the Black Fleet prepared its first strike. "Target their forward patrols," Reyes ordered. "One squadron only. Make it silent. Make them afraid." A group of Black Fleet destroyers moved forward, cloaked, their weapons charged, glowing faintly against the void. The Empire's patrol cruisers drifted lazily, their crews arrogant and unprepared. They thought the humans were still deciding whether to surrender. They never saw death coming. In an instant, space exploded with fire. Black beams tore through alien hulls. Armor melted like wax. Crews screamed in confusion. Then silence returned. The Empire's patrol had been erased. On the Dominion's fist, alarms blared. "Admiral, Patrol Squadron Delta is gone." Core turned sharply. "Gone? How? Where?" "No signal, no escape pods. Just gone." Core's claws dug into the command rail. His heart raced with rage. "It's the humans. They dare to strike? Fools. They cannot hide from us." But even as he shouted, doubt crept in. How had the humans destroyed a full patrol so quickly? And where were their ships? Why could scanners see nothing? Fear, cold and sharp, began to whisper inside the minds of the alien crews. Back aboard the Eclipse, Reyes listened to the reports. His expression was grim, but his eyes glowed with satisfaction. "Good," he said. "Now pull back. Let them search. Let them wonder. The more they fear the shadows, the stronger we become." The officers exchanged looks. For the first time, hope burned in their eyes. In his fighter, Alex saw the wreckage of the patrol drifting in silence. Alien ships torn apart, their pieces glowing red in the dark. A chill ran down his spine. He realized something. The Black Fleet wasn't just strong. It was terrifying. And maybe, just maybe, that terror would save Earth. On Earth, news leaked. The Empire's patrol had been destroyed. Rumors spread like fire. People cheered in the streets, whispering the words no one dared speak aloud until now. "The Black Fleet is real." Admiral Core slammed his fist against the command table. "Increase the search. Find them. I want the humans dragged into the light." But deep inside, for the first time, he felt something the Empire had not felt in centuries. Fear that the Black Fleet had moved. The shadows had struck, and the Empire was beginning to realize the humans were not prey. They were hunters in the dark fire in the void. The first clash was silent. The patrol ships were gone. Nothing but wreckage drifted in the black. But silence never lasts long in war. The Empire had been struck. And now they would strike back. Admiral Core's eyes glowed with fury on the bridge of the Dominion's fist. "Deploy." "Hunter wings," he barked. "Sweep the system. Find the humans. Crush them before they dare another strike." Dozens of alien cruisers and frigates broke formation, engines roaring. They spread out like hounds unleashed, their scanners burning through the void. Their weapons glimmered with blue fire. But in the darkness, the Black Fleet was waiting. Inside, the dreadnought Eclipse Commander Reyes studied the map. Red enemy signals spread out across the screen, like claws reaching toward Earth. "Sir," an officer said, "they're moving to surround us. If they find us, we'll be outnumbered 100-1. Reyes' voice was calm. "Then we don't. Let them find us. We strike where they are weakest. And we vanish before they can close their jaws." He raised his hand. "Launch the fighters." Alex's cockpit shook as his fighter, Raven 3, roared out of the hangar. All around him, black-winged fighters poured into space, engines burning faint but deadly. His squad leader's voice came through the comms. "Ravens, listen close. This is not just about survival. This is about showing them Earth fights back. We will not kneel. We will not break. Let them feel our fire." Alex's chest tightened, but his hands were steady. He whispered to himself, "For Earth." The first wave hit fast. Empire frigates flew in tight formation, their scanning beams cutting across the void. Suddenly, streaks of black fire lanced. From nowhere, human fighters struck with brutal speed, their weapons tearing holes in alien armor. Explosions flared like dying stars. Enemy contact. Alien officers screamed, "They're here!" The rest was drowned in fire. Admiral Kor leaned forward, eyes wide. "What is this?" He growled. On his screens, small human. Ships darted through his cruisers like wolves through sheep. They moved with impossible speed, hitting weak points with perfect aim. Entire squadrons collapsed in minutes. "This isn't possible," one officer whispered. "Humans should not have ships like these." But they did, and they were winning. Alex's fighter weaved through enemy fire. Red beams sliced past his cockpit, close enough to blind him. He rolled hard, diving under a cruiser's belly. He aimed, locked, and fired. His missiles slammed into the cruiser's reactor. The explosion shook his ship. A massive fireball lit the void, debris scattering everywhere. Alex let out a sharp breath. "Target down." His squad leader's voice crackled back, fierce with pride. "That's how humans fight." The battle spread like wildfire. Black Fleet. Destroyers decloaked one by one, unleashing devastating barrages. Alien ships were torn apart in seconds, their screams filling comms before silence consumed them. Yet the Empire's numbers were vast. For every cruiser destroyed, 2 more moved in. On the Eclipse, Reyes' crew shouted updates, multiple enemy wings converging. "We're surrounded on 3 sides," Reyes narrowed his eyes. "Then we break through. Forward all power to the forward cannons." The ship rumbled as its main weapon charged. Energy built until the air hummed with static. Fire. A single beam of black light erupted from the Eclipse, cutting across the void like a sword. It ripped straight through an enemy battleship, splitting it in half. Flames and bodies scattered into space. The crew of the Eclipse cheered. But victory came with blood. Alien fire struck back. A Black Fleet destroyer was caught in crossfire, its shields failing. It exploded in silence, scattering burning fragments. Dozens of humans inside were lost instantly. Alex saw it happen. His chest burned. With rage, no more. He shouted, diving toward another alien cruiser. His weapon screamed, and the enemy ship cracked apart under his fury. But still, the numbers pressed in. Admiral Kor's lips curled into a cruel smile as his ships began to close the trap. "Enough of this," he snarled. "Crush them. Show." these humans what it means to defy the Empire. His fleets moved like jaws, snapping shut. Inside the eclipse, rays stood firm as enemy fire rocked the ship. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, but his voice remained steady. "Hold the line," he told his crew. "This is where they learn. This is where the Empire realizes we will never surrender." He turned toward the comms officer. "Broadcast to all ships." When the channel opened, Ray spoke, his voice deep and unshaken. "Black Fleet, here. Enemy. Tonight, we fight not for survival, but for defiance. Tonight, the galaxy sees what Earth truly is. Let them come. Let them burn. But we will not kneel. We will rise in fury." The fleet roared back in unison. For Earth. The battle blazed across the void, ships burning, shadows striking, the Empire bleeding. The first great fire of the war had begun, and it was far from over. Asterisk. The Empire strikes back, the void burned. With wreckage. Alien cruisers drifted broken, their flames dim against the endless night. The Black Fleet had struck, and for the first time in centuries, the Empire had bled. But bleeding does not kill an empire. It awakens its fury. Admiral Kor stood on the bridge of the Dominion's fist, his claws digging into the command rail. His voice was low, shaking with rage. "Enough games. Deploy the war engines." At his order, enormous carriers opened, like beasts spreading their jaws. From their bays thundered forth ships the size of cities' imperial juggernauts. Weapons bristling, shields glowing like suns. Each was strong enough to erase a planet's defenses on its own. Behind them came the swarm thousands of fighters, sleek and deadly, filling the dark with red trails. The hunters had arrived. On the Eclipse, the deck trembled as sensors picked up the new threat. "Sir," an officer gasped, "they've unleashed juggernauts. Multiple. Entire wings of heavy. Carriers. It's an armada." The crew turned toward Commander Reyes. For a moment, silence hung in the air. Then his voice cut through the fear. "Good," he said calmly. "Now we see their true face. Now they show us everything they have." In his fighter, Alex's screen lit with dozens of red warning markers. His stomach clenched. "They're everywhere," he whispered. "It's a storm." His squad leader's voice was steady. "Ravens, listen. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Stay sharp. Stay alive." Alex gritted his teeth. 4. Earth. The storm hit. Alien fighters swarmed like angry wasps, red beams slicing through the dark. Human ravens darted between them, firing missiles, turning enemy wings into fireballs. But for every alien ship destroyed, 3 more pressed forward. Then the juggernauts fired. Massive beams lanced across the void, so bright they blinded sensors. Entire Black Fleet squadrons were torn apart in an instant. One destroyer after another exploded, shields unable to withstand the barrage. Enemy fire incoming. A Black Fleet officer shouted. The Eclipse shook violently, alarms screaming. A juggernaut's beam grazed its shield, making the hull glow white-hot. Shields holding, but barely. Reyes steadied himself against the railing. Focus fire. On their carriers. Take out their teeth before they can bite. Across the Black Fleet, orders echoed. Cruisers and destroyers turned as one, unleashing their cannons at the nearest Imperial carrier. Explosions tore across its hull, ripping into its launch bays. Alien fighters burst into flame before they could deploy. The carrier cracked apart, a fireball blooming in the void. Human crews cheered, but only for a moment, because another juggernaut fired back. A Black Fleet cruiser, the Vanguard, was caught in the beam. Its shields shattered, and the ship split apart, bodies and steel spilling into space. Alex saw it happen. His hands shook. "We're losing too many," he muttered. His. Squad leader cut in sharply. Then fight harder. Humanity depends on us. On Earth, the battle streamed in fragments across secret channels. Families crowded together in silence, watching grainy feeds of fire in the sky. They saw their hidden fleet, saw their defenders, and hope began to spark. But with each explosion, each loss, fear crept back in. Can they win? People whispered. Can they really stop the Empire? Inside the Dominion's fist, Admiral Kor bared his teeth. Do you see now? He roared to his officers. Humans are nothing but vermin. In the dark, their fleet will burn. Their world will kneel. Yet even as he spoke, unease lingered. The humans fought like no enemy the Empire had faced. Every destroyed ship seemed to buy them more fury, not less. The battle raged for hours. Fire streaked across the void. Human fighters weaved through alien wings, striking and vanishing. Black Fleet destroyers focused on weak points, hitting where armor was thin. For every loss, they made the Empire pay in blood, but the cost was heavy. By the time the fighting slowed, wreckage drifted everywhere. Half the Empire's carriers were gone, but the Black Fleet had lost countless ships too. The void was a graveyard, glowing with fire. On the Eclipse, Reyes stood among sparks and smoke. His uniform was torn, his face streaked with ash. Officers reported damage-broken shields, failing weapons, lost squadrons. Yet his voice remained firm. We are still here. That means Earth is still free. Remember that. He turned to the map. The Empire still had more ships. Too many. But he knew one thing. They had been shaken, and fear was spreading in their ranks, far away. On his flagship, Admiral Kor stared at the burning wreckage of his fleet. His claws trembled against the railing, for the first time in his long career. He felt the weight of something he had never admitted before. The humans could not be broken easily, and the war had only just begun. Asterisk. Earth's last stand. The void was quiet after the battle. But it was not peace, it was the silence before a storm. On the ruined bridge of the Eclipse, Commander Reyes studied the reports. The Black Fleet had won a victory, but it was not enough. Too many ships were gone, too many fighters lost, and the Empire was coming again stronger than before. Sir, an officer whispered, their main fleet is on the move. Hundreds of warships, juggernauts, entire legions, all heading straight for Earth. The words fell like ice. Every officer on the bridge froze. Earth was not just their home. It was the last place left. If it fell, there would be no return. On the Dominion's fist, Admiral Kor stood proud, his eyes burning. Set course for the human world, he commanded. Erase their planet from the stars, burn their cities, break their spirit forever. The Empire's greatest fleet turned toward Earth. Engines glowed like suns, weapons armed to slaughter. This was no longer a war of conquest. It was a war of extermination. The Black Fleet regrouped near the moon, battered but unbroken. Damaged ships limped back into formation. Fighters rearmed, pilots silent, knowing the next battle could be there. Last Alex sat in his fighter bay, helmet in his lap, staring at the scarred walls. His squad had lost half its pilots. Empty chairs haunted him, but when the call came, he stood, because if Earth fell, nothing else mattered. Commander Reyes addressed the fleet. His voice carried across every ship, every fighter, every soul. Listen. Well, the Empire comes with everything it has. They think they will break us here, at our home, but they are wrong. This is not where humanity ends. He paused. His words were steady, sharp as steel. This is where humanity rises. This is Earth. And Earth will never surrender. The fleet roared back, voices shaking with fire. For Earth. The battle began at dawn, Earth spinning below like a blue jewel. The Empire's fleet emerged from the void in endless lines, juggernauts at the center, fighters spreading like a storm. Their weapons glowed, ready to burn the sky itself. The Black fleet waited, silent, patient. Then, as one, they struck. Human destroyers opened fire, black beams slicing through the first wave. Alien cruisers exploded in flashes of light. Ravens screamed into the void, tearing through fighters with missiles and cannons. Alex's cockpit shook as he flew into the swarm. Lasers burned past his wings, close enough to melt his armor. He rolled, fired, and an enemy fighter shattered into fire. But more came. Always more. The juggernauts unleashed their fury. Beams lanced down toward Earth's orbit, ripping into black fleet lines. Entire human cruisers were split apart in seconds, their crews lost in silence. On the Eclipse, alarm screamed. Shields failed, hull plates cracked. But Reyes did not flinch. Forward, he ordered. Close the distance. Make them pay for every inch. The Eclipse roared ahead, its cannons blazing. It rammed straight into the swarm, carving a path through alien fire. On Earth, people watched the skies. From cities, villages, and mountains, they looked up at streaks of fire painting the heavens. Some wept, some prayed, but all whispered the sea. Same words. Hold the line. Please hold the line. Admiral Kor's voice thundered through the Dominion's fist. Crush them. Burn their planet. His juggernauts turned their beams toward Earth itself. On the Eclipse, Reyes saw it. His heart froze. They're targeting the surface, an officer cried. They mean to wipe out everything, our cities, our families. Not while I draw breath, Reyes cut in. His voice was calm, but inside, the fire raged. Alex heard the order. All fighters, intercept those beams. He pushed his thrusters to the limit, his ravens screaming through the void. He fired missile after missile, trying to shatter the Juggernaut's cannons before they fired again. Enemy fighters closed in around him, lasers burning, but Alex did not slow. For Earth. He shouted and dove straight into the storm. The Black Fleet fought like demons. Damaged ships rammed into alien cruisers, tearing them apart in mutual destruction. Pilots sacrificed themselves to break enemy wings. Every human life was a weapon, every death a warning. And still, the Empire pressed forward. On the bridge of the Eclipse, sparks rained from the ceiling. Reyes gripped the rail, eyes fixed on the massive juggernaut ahead. This is it, he said quietly. One last strike. He turned to his crew. Prepare the Eclipse for ramming speed. Gasps filled the room. Sir, if we do this, I know. Reyes's voice was steady. But if Earth falls, nothing else matters. The Eclipse will be the spear. The rest of the fleet will follow. His officers looked at him and nodded. Not with fear, but with pride. The order was given. The Eclipse turned its burning hull toward the Juggernaut. The final battle for Earth had begun. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. Asterisk fury of the Black Fleet, the Eclipse blazed forward, its engines screaming, shields collapsing under the storm of enemy fire. Sparks poured across the bridge, alarms wailed, and crew members fought to hold their stations. Commander Reyes stood unshaken. His eyes were locked on the Juggernaut ahead, an enormous fortress of steel and fire, the heart of the Imperial fleet. Ends now, he said quietly. All across the void, the Black Fleet knew. They saw their flagship charging into death itself, and their voices rose as one. For Earth, for humanity. Damaged destroyers reignited their engines. Fighters dove into swarms, and cruisers opened fire with every weapon left. A Black Fleet became a storm of fury, every ship a blade cutting into the Empire. Admiral Kor snarled aboard the Dominion's fist. His claws clamped onto the railing as he shouted, "Stop them! Do not let that ship through!" Imperial fighters surged to block the eclipse, beams tearing through its hull dot, but the Black Fleet covered it. Human cruisers rammed enemy wings, exploding in brilliant fire. Pilots dove into the swarm, sacrificing themselves to open a path. The eclipse pushed forward, bleeding steel wrapped in fire. Inside his Raven, Alex's breath came ragged. His controls shook violently, screens flashing red. He had nothing left, no missiles, no shields, barely any fuel. But he still flew, because Earth was below him. Because his family was watching. "Stay with me, Eclipse," he whispered, diving into the enemy lines to clear the way. The Juggernaut loomed larger, its colossal cannons turning, charging another beam, meant to split the Earth itself. On the bridge of the eclipse, Reyes placed his hand on the console. "To every soul who gave their life for this moment," he whispered, "we will not fail." He looked at his crew faces burned, uniforms torn, but eyes full of fire. "Brace for impact." The eclipse slammed forward, tearing through waves of alien fighters, crashing through the Juggernaut's defenses. For a moment, time itself seemed to slow. The two giants collided steel against steel, fury against tyranny. Then came the explosion. It was like a star had been born. Light brighter than the sun erupted across the void, tearing through the Juggernaut. Its shields shattered, its hull ripped apart, its engines burst into fire. The eclipse vanished in the blaze, taking the Juggernaut with it. The shockwave tore through the Imperial fleet, sending ships spinning. Fighters burned, cruisers collapsed, carriers split in half. The Black Fleet roared in triumph. Alex shielded his eyes from the fireball, tears streaming down his face. "Reyes," he whispered. The commander was gone, but his sacrifice had broken the Empire's spine. The remaining Black Fleet ships surged forward, driven by rage and grief. They tore into the weakened Imperial fleet, striking with precision, fury, and fire. The tide turned. Admiral Kor staggered on his bridge, watching the Juggernaut burn. His officers shouted, panicked, but he could only stare. "This cannot be," he muttered, but it was. His fleet was broken. The humans had done the impossible. For the first time in the Empire's long rule, fear filled its highest commander. "Retreat!" he finally screamed. "Pull back. Save what you can." The order rippled through the Empire's fleet. Ships fled into the void, their pride shattered, their power broken. Silence fell. Wreckage drifted across Earth's skies. Fires glowed in the distance. Bodies, steel, and ashes turned the void into a graveyard. But Earth still stood, and the Black Fleet still flew. On Earth, people watched in awe as the Imperial fleet retreated. Tears and cheers filled the streets. Families held each other close, whispering the same words again and again. "We are free. Humanity is free." Alex landed his battered Raven on what remained of a carrier deck. He climbed out slowly, his body shaking, his heart heavy. Around him, survivors gathered. Burned, wounded, broken, but alive. One officer placed a hand on his shoulder. "We held the line." Alex nodded, staring up at the sky. "No," he whispered. "We became the line." The Black Fleet had lost so much ships, friends, heroes. Commander Reyes was gone, but his sacrifice lit a fire no empire could ever extinguish. Humanity had proved the truth the stars would never forget. Earth does not surrender. Far beyond, in the halls of the shattered empire, whispers spread like fire. The humans had stood against the greatest fleet in history, and they had won. The galaxy trembled, because a new truth had been written in blood and fire. The Black Fleet had risen, and with it, humanity's destiny. Asterisk.